You gotta love when you find that right blend of sci-fi and horror, because it pairs so beautifully. Hi guys, it's April, and I'm gonna do this review the same way I do all of my other reviews. I'm gonna have the non-spoiler section up front, followed by the spoiled filled dump afterwards. In case you don't want to get into the spoils, I will let you know when that transition happens so that you can make that choice. So feel free to stick around for however long you'd like. I did receive an advance reader copy of The Hollow Places by T. Kingfisher for a free and honest review, but that in no way has swayed my opinion on this book. But I do have to say, I enjoyed this read. This is the story of a young woman named Kara who is just recently divorced and has moved back in with her uncle to help him run his museum. It's filled with the most random assortments of taxidermy and other curiosities. She's grown up visiting this museum, so it has become a safe space for her. But one day, she and the barista next door, Simon, discover a hole in the wall of the museum. This hole seems to be a portal to a completely different place. And while they are there, they discover terrifying creatures that can locate you by thought and fear. So Kara's bound and determined to figure out how to get back and then how to close this doorway. This is a lovely mix of sci-fi and horror. It reminds me a lot of Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. It's not as eccentric as that, but it takes on a little bit of that weird, strange aspect that Annihilation does, and I liked it. And it does give you more of a linear, fluid thought and conclusion in this story than you will get in the Southern Reach series. And I have to say, I probably connected too well with the character of Kara. She is a 34-year-old graphic designer, so she does a lot of thought processes around graphic design as she's comparing things in this new world. She's talking about style and design and space, and that's how she views the world. And so it was kind of nice to see that. I enjoyed that aspect of it. Now, there were some points in where things slowed down a little bit, and Kara got a little bit more in her head because she is dealing with a divorce and she's dealing with a lot of changes and events in her life. It did have several moments of this weird, bizarre creepiness that seemed to infiltrate a lot of things that happen after she finds this hole in the wall. And those are the things that I like the most about this book. So once you can get past a lot of those internal dialogues that Kara has, you're in for a ride. I thoroughly enjoyed this. Now, I wouldn't probably call it a true horror, but there are some the horror-like aspects to this story, which is why I picked it up in the first place. I enjoyed it. If you like sci-fi series that take on more of that survival horror aspect of the sci-fi realm, you will like this book. If you tried to get into Annihilation, but it was just too far out there for you, you might be able to digest this one just a little bit easier. This book felt like it was easier to consume than Annihilation was, but otherwise, this is the point in which I'm going to start getting into some of the more spoiled-filled thoughts of this book. If you'd like to stay, that is perfectly okay. Let me know if you are going to go and read this book. I would love to start a conversation with you afterwards. Otherwise, we shall proceed. I do have to admit that Simon as a character was probably my favorite. I mean, there aren't a lot of characters in this book in general. You have Kara, you have her ex-husband, you have her mom, you have Uncle Earl, and then you have Simon. And those are basically the 5 characters in this book. Mostly it's about Kara and Simon, and I actually didn't anticipate that Simon was going to have such a big role in this story, but I'm glad he did because he is pretty much the comic relief of this whole thing. Just the random things that come out of his mouth as they're dealing with everything that's going on. First, sort of kind of blaming it on black mold, but knowing that it's not black mold. And he just seems to be more of the brains of everything going on, even though his stuff is from clear in left field, especially since apparently his eye is from a twin that he consumed in the womb. Maybe? This book is just weird on so many different levels, which is probably why I enjoyed it so much. And I just like how at the end, when it really came down to it, Kara had the cat and all the taxidermied animals that were protecting her. And it kind of starts to look into like, well, do objects know that they are loved. And so if they do start taking on this aspect of life, would they remember that? Which I thought was kind of fun, but that's just me. Overall, I don't have a ton of thoughts on this book, mainly because I just really enjoyed the journey. I didn't really dissect it as much as I probably could have, and I really didn't want to. I was just enjoying the entertainment of this book and just how weird and bizarre it was. I have just come off of several books that I was just kind of blah about, so I'm glad that I picked up this book. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on this book. I would love to hear them. Of course, if you want to see more content like this, subscribe down below, and I heart your beautiful faces. Bye.